I am stepping into Kong right now, and if you have ever touched an old school arcade cabinet, you will immediately feel at home. I'm looking at a retro platformer that captures that exact Donkey Kong energy, a simple goal climb, dodge survive, but inside something much bigger. This game is part of the Game Room, a gaming world running inside the Cardano ecosystem where pure arcade fun meets the structure of blockchain-powered access and rewards.
As I start, I am standing at the very bottom of a tall, stacked structure. Everything above me wants to stop me, and everything in me wants to reach that top. What makes this so engaging, and why I love showing it to people, is how timeless the rhythm feels. Short rounds, sudden failure, that one more try feeling the kind of thing where even if I only have 2 minutes, I can squeeze in a full run and still feel like I learned something. Kong is not pretending to be complicated. It is not trying to overwhelm me with features. It is pure reflex and timing. I wait. I watch a barrel roll toward me. I decide if I step sideways or climb right now, and I know that every mistake, no matter how small, ends the entire run. That is what gives this game its tension, and tension is always what keeps people glued to the screen. But there is a layer most players do not notice. At first, I am not just casually playing some random retro game. This is inside a platform where gameplay, ownership, and community are connected. If someone holds a Game Room Pass, that NFT minted on Cardano gives them unlimited access to everything here, including Kong. Meanwhile, someone who does not hold that pass can still play. They just enter through a time-limited option, maybe 1 day, 7 days, or 1 month paid in ADA or even partner project tokens. To me, that is part of why this experience matters. The idea that a simple arcade platformer can live inside an economic loop, where the community that supports it also receives benefits. That is something you do not see in traditional games. So, as I move across this first platform, watching the hazards fall, deciding whether to wait or go for it, I am also thinking this is more than a nostalgic challenge. It is an example of how Cardano gaming can feel familiar, yet offer something new. All right, I am taking a breath, getting ready, and we are about to make this first climb. If I make it, we move higher. If I do not, the run is done. That is Kong. Simple, unforgiving, and surprisingly addictive. When I think about why Kong exists, I see more than a retro-style challenge. I see a game that fits perfectly into quick moments of life, the kind where I want something simple, fast, and honest, a climb, a dodge, a mistake, and a reset. What I appreciate is that the goal of Kong is not to overwhelm me. It is to deliver a focused, nostalgic, and competitive experience, the kind that lets me sit down, press play, and immediately understand what I am trying to do. The core mission is clear: reach the top, survive, and do it again. But beyond that, it is built for players who love repetition and mastery. It is for people who enjoy chasing improvement, learning timing, finding shortcuts, and pushing themselves. Even if someone is not an experienced gamer, Kong invites them in because the instructions are universal. You start, you move, and you try to escape everything trying to crush you. Now, when I zoom out and look at the bigger picture, Kong is also a piece of the Game Room vision, and for me, that is where its purpose becomes even more interesting. The Game Room wants to take the feeling of classic arcade energy and inject it into Cardano. Not as a gimmick, but as a way to build a community that plays, supports, and benefits together. There is a dual intention here, and it affects how I think about this whole platform while I play. If someone holds a Game Room Pass, they receive unlimited access to games like Kong, as well as quarterly ADA rewards. Those rewards come from mining equipment purchased during the initial NFT mint. That means that people who supported the platform early are tied into the long-term health of the ecosystem. Meanwhile, someone who does not hold that NFT is still welcome. They are not locked out. They can buy a time-based pass, maybe for a day, maybe a week, and they can use ADA or even tokens from partner projects. That lowers the barrier. It means the arcade doors are always unlocked and anyone can walk in. So the long-term objective is to create sustainability. A place where players return, where access means something, and where entertainment is tied to real participation. It is not about play to earn. It is about play to belong, play to stay, and play to be part of something. As I climb, I remind myself this game does not live alone. It is a doorway, a reason to show up, a moment of challenge that supports a larger mission, which is making Cardano gaming feel alive, approachable, and meaningful. Right now, as I begin this run, the first thing I notice is how clear the objective feels. I start at the bottom, and the top is waiting for me. That simplicity is what makes Kong so powerful. I do not need a tutorial, I do not need a menu. The level itself explains everything. As I move forward, I am walking across platforms, and every step demands attention. Timing is everything here. I pause, I watch for what is falling above me. I make a decision, and only then do I move. These platforms are not just scenery. They are the battlefield. Every space between two steps is a window where I either survive or lose. Then I come face to face with the ladders. This is where the tension builds because I need to stand perfectly lined up in front of one press up and commit. If I climb too early, a barrel hits me. If I wait too long, I lose my chance. Ladders are not guaranteed safety. Some might be blocked, some might look open when they are not, and that hesitation is what separates a clean run from an instant loss. As I continue, I watch hazards falling from above. Barrels, crates, and objects designed only for one purpose force me to react. There are moments where stepping sideways is enough. Moments where I need to wait. And sometimes, if the mechanics allow it, I even consider a jump. But every option requires a choice. And if I choose wrong, even by a fraction of a second, the run is over. What keeps me hooked, and what makes this experience so replayable, is that each level becomes harder. There are faster falling hazards, there are more enemies placed on platforms, and the structure itself sometimes changes. I might face collapsing floors or conveyor belts, and suddenly a path that felt safe before becomes a trap. The game constantly asks me, how confident am I? How badly do I want to get to the top? It is that sudden failure, that complete restart, that gives the game its charm. One hit and everything resets. I do not just lose progress, I lose the entire attempt, and because a full run can last seconds or minutes, I am always tempted, always prepared to try again. That is the magic of this arcade loop. Kong is not a complex strategy title. It is not an open world journey. It is a pressure chamber. And every time I show gameplay, I see people lean in. Because anyone can understand what is happening. You run, you climb, you risk, you win, or you fall. That is what makes these standout features special. They are universal, they are honest, and they keep me coming back one attempt at a time. As I keep climbing here, dodging these falling barrels, I want to pause and talk about what sits underneath this entire experience, because while the screen shows a classic arcade challenge, the world that surrounds it is powered by Cardano, and that changes how I experience this game, not in how I play it, but in how I access it, belong to it, and benefit from it. Kong itself as a minigame is simple. It is not using smart contracts inside the gameplay. It is not minting items as I climb. It is not tracking my score on chain. The blockchain layer lives in the infrastructure, the system that makes it possible for me to be here right now. To play Kong without limits, I would need something called a Game Room Pass. And this pass is not just a login code, it is an NFT minted on Cardano. This NFT is a digital key, and it decides who has permanent access, who can play every game, and who is tied to the reward model. Only 1,500 of these passes exist, and during the initial mint, the funds were used to purchase mining equipment. That detail matters because it is the foundation of what makes this platform different. If I hold that NFT, I gain unlimited access to everything, including Kong. I can log in at any time, play as much as I want, and I do not worry about a subscription expiring. Then every quarter, ADA rewards are distributed, not based on how often I play or how good I am, but distributed equally to every NFT. And those rewards come from mining operations funded by the mint. That means ownership has a long tail. I am not only getting access, I am participating in an economy. If someone does not own that NFT, the doors are still open because Cardano also makes it possible to grant access through time-limited passes. So I could buy a one-day pass or a one-week pass or maybe a full month, and I can pay using ADA or tokens from partner projects. That flexibility matters because it lets newcomers step in, test the water, and decide if they want to commit. When I explain this, I emphasize a very important point. Cardano is not changing the rules of Kong. Cardano is changing the rules of access and participation. In a traditional arcade, I would drop coins, play, and leave. Here I can play, belong, and receive. As I keep climbing, watching my timing, choosing when to move, I am reminded the blockchain layer is invisible during the run. It is silent, but it is the reason this game has a community, a structure, and a long-term life.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And before I go, don't forget, if you'd like to receive a very short but value-packed email from me every Tuesday, you can sign up for the Cardano Gaming newsletter. Every Monday, I'll be sharing the latest from the Cardano Gaming ecosystem to help you make better decisions. So if you don't want to miss out, just go to the link on the screen, leave me your email, and very soon I'll be in your inbox. That's all for today. I hope you have a great week.